For the first time, Nigeria recorded 3 digits for new coronavirus cases in the country. According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, 117 persons tested positive for the pandemic on Tuesday, the highest daily tally so far. Overall, there are now 782 positive cases across the country, with 25 fatalities and 197 recoveries. Welcome to another episode of COVID-19 Situation Room of the Television Nigerian. I am Charles Ibe. Now, the rising cases of the coronavirus infection in Kano State has become a source of worry for the federal government as well as the state government, as the state witnessed an unprecedented surge in the cases within 1 week. Well, with the state government also calling out for help to the federal government, the state now has 73 cases of the coronavirus. Comrade Daniel Atai is in the Situation Room, and also is Victor Temba.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Welcome to the Situation Room, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, Kano, 73 cases. Just, did you say quantum? Yeah, I say quantum leap.
Just a quantum leap.
It's a geometrical progression now.
So
exponential increase.
Yeah, so what do we attribute this to? Kano State. Why do we have such a jump all of a sudden?
I think it's because of the carelessness of the first case in the state, where that was like on the April 11th, that was when they recorded the case. But then when you look at the man in question was somebody who was respected and of high standing in the society.
I think he was an ambassador?
Yes, an ex-ambassador or retired ambassador. And then when he came into the country, instead of observing the 14 days self-isolation, whatever, he went about his business, attended ceremonies, even went to some mass prayer on that Friday. And then you know how it did definitely be when you go to the mosque to pray, and then you mix up with a lot of people. And I think that contact that he had with people is what is basically manifesting at this point, that Kano is now harvesting a lot of figures in just 1 day.
Now it's a quantum leap.
Yeah, the situation in Kano is going to be a pathetic one, if not already. And we should be expecting more contagious infection in the progression. Because you know how Kano is, highly populated and very religious people. And that brings the fact that we have to eschew religiosity at this moment when we are fighting a pandemic. When they say a pandemic, it's a global thing. It's a global disease phenomenon that has to be carefully eradicated by maintaining all rules, all laid down rules by the WHO, the World Health Organization. And this is not a joke. But we in Africa, we seem very religious, like I always say, and but we are not actually godly. And because of this, we cannot separate the two from each other. This is where we are. And imagine if this act continues in Kano and Lagos, then the prediction by World Health could come to pass. The prediction by Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates, and Bill Gates himself could come to pass, that the heat of COVID-19 will be fatal in Africa. And I think it has just begun.
Now, the case of Kano is a very peculiar case. In just a very short space of time, we've seen them just jump from maybe like number 13 or thereabout to become number 3. And now that is Kano. Is there not a possibility that those people that are just having 1, 2, might tomorrow just become another Kano in the course of time, although we are not praying for it? Now, looking at the lockdown and then this leap, Nigeria just entered 3 digits. And very, very close to the 4 digits on the whole. Yeah, we are at 700 and maybe before weekends we might be entering thousands. So isn't it a source of worry? What should be done right now? The government have tried what they could. They said stay at home, people are staying at home, even though marginally or however. Then social distancing and all of that. Yet, from 111 when the lockdown was declared, now we're having 700 plus. So, should it continue? Should it be lifted? What would one be really thinking about right now?
Well, I think right now is for government to increase their testing capacity. Although even the Minister of Health, State for Health, came out to say that they are using less and polymerase testing kits instead of this less and rapid test kits. So this takes a lot of time, and we are not testing enough people. Generally, we have tested just about 8,000 people in the country. So what the government should be doing now is getting to test more people, find out those who are basically positive, and then isolate them from the society, and then watch those who might have come in contact with this case. Because if we continue at this slow pace, then the lockdown is not going to be lifted anytime soon, because the cases are going to be multiplied. The highest country that has tested more people happens to be Ghana, and there are about 60,000 people out of the over 30 million citizens.
And they're already relaxing
with 1,047 cases or thereabouts. So I think this is what the government needs to do: increase testing capacities, isolate those who have tested positive, put those who might have come in contact or maybe their case are still at the moment suspicious, keep them under watch and then monitor them. Because for now, I don't think there is anything else we will do, because the government have done everything that they could.
Yeah.
Again, because the information has been very massive to sensitize the people. It has been very massive, but then we know the realities that we are in Nigeria. So
yeah, we are in a situation of war. It's like
humans versus virus.
Yes, human versus virus war. And at a time like this, where the capacity of our medical personnel, our workers, are below 65,000, I think little above 60,000 capacity in terms of manpower, medical workers, medical doctors, and medical nurses. We need, I think the FG need to bring in experts who are working abroad, just the way we're evacuating people from abroad now.
Have they started the evacuation?
They will be starting next week. They will be starting next week, according to the Minister Osagi, Minister of Health. And then another factor that I would love to suggest to the FG is the issue of allowing well-equipped private hospitals to actually treat COVID-19. Monopolizing it because it's a pandemic. People are not much afraid of it in this part of the world, in this continent of Africa. If we borrow a leaf, like what the United States are doing and Canada, we could allow some well-equipped hospitals and even alternatively employ the service of our herbal researchers to begin to treat COVID-19. Because the time will come, it will look like we're in Italy, or we're in Wuhan, or we're in Spain. So if you monopolize the treatment because you are trying to ascertain what kind of disease is this, and you are afraid, already is a pandemic. So let's deal with it holistically. So let's employ their services and ensure that private hospitals and experts weigh into the treatment.
Now, still on the issue of Kano State, and then just like what you are talking about, I can just read an underlying fear that perhaps in the not distant time, the health systems of Nigeria might be overwhelmed.
Yes.
In terms of
definitely
being able to handle this. And then we heard from Kano when the governor was mentioning that they were using hotels, that sometimes they take hotels as isolation centers. That's in place of hospitals. You understand? And then also another news also from Kano that there is a COVID-19 virus. Is it vaccine?
The FG alerted that fake COVID-19 vaccine is making the round, moving around in Kano. I think that should stop, because I do not think that scientists have developed vaccine just within 3 months.
Yeah. Okay, but could it be like a lot of people have talked about having a homegrown solution to this?
Yeah.
Could it be that someone has discovered something and is eager to just help out? Maybe instead of calling it something else, they just labels it vaccine, and then it could be one of these homeopathic what do they call this herbal based this thing. So how do we begin to handle this? Is it like people are trying to cash in on the situation, or people are actually trying to help Has this thing been tested to see the efficacy? Or maybe it could have just been a mistake of nomenclature. Instead of saying perhaps a booster or something, then you're saying is the vaccine. So how do we handle it all?
Well, basically, people have been cashing in already since this whole pandemic came in. That's why food prices are high. Transport, where you can get transport, it's high. Lagos State is declared that from next week, and they are going to make the lesson wearing of masks compulsory. And already, people are already putting an advert that you can get masks from me, authentic mask and all that. So I think that is the same situation with the person who brought out the vaccine and cannot sell it. Yes, it is herbal. And perhaps, something about this herbal medicine is that just one herbal drink can be a solution to a lot of things. Yeah. So, and then maybe in his own wisdom, he thinks that, okay, this should also be able to solve COVID-19, or at the same time, maybe just trying to cash in and deceive people and say, man, you don't have to worry about COVID-19. We have this here. If you can get this vaccine, then all of your recent problem about COVID-19 will be over. Because, and I think the only solution to stop this is somebody who has not gotten approval, who has not shown it to NAFDAC or to the government and say, look, I have this, and then maybe it has been tested, and then let the government come on to say, then you can try this as part of your management of the COVID-19. But at this moment, people who do stuff like that, I don't think they should be left off the hook with just warning, because they were out deliberately to deceive the public, and that will in a way endanger the lives of people who might have bought into the lesson deception. So they should be arrested and then charged appropriately. Yes. Maybe
Nyada, you might delve into this, like
scientifically,
I guess.
Yes, I don't think the word vaccine should be used when it comes to perhaps curative treatment in Kano or
anywhere else.
Or anywhere else, because before you use vaccine, it has to be internationally accepted by World Health Organization, and that is the brouhaha and the conflict of politics that is going on between World Health and the United States of America right now. Trump is saying, litigating Biggate, that they are going to not support the vaccination or the vaccines from him because it tends to heed some information from the world and from the World Health. And that is like he's conniving with the World Health to perpetrate or to absolutely control the world vaccination for COVID-19, and since he has been obsessed with vaccination over time. So in Kano, we may not call it vaccine. I don't want anybody to say there is vaccine. Even if you have alternative healing and you have alternative curative medicine for COVID-19, it should not be tagged vaccine yet. But anything that could help, normalize the symptoms or get it out and make you test negative is welcome. But when it comes to vaccine, it means even after you've tested negative, you can never in the future have COVID-19 again.
Just for the benefit of the uninformed, maybe now this word vaccine, is it like, isn't it like, it sounds like something that has to be administered, maybe like an injection or a form of, or do you have vaccines in form of drugs? Is it something that can be ingested?
Yes.
Like injections?
Yes.
How do vaccines normally go?
Vaccines comes either by implant. They can implant it as an antidote in your body. Okay. They can also inject it either through the arm. Yes, they can inject it either through the arm or
can it be swallowed like a medicine?
Yeah, there are vaccines that could be swallowed like medicine, and then it will, for life, you will be, you protected from such a virus or disease they made it against. Because they have to test. When I was discussing an exclusive with a medical doctor yesterday, which will still come up, he said a plasma sample will be taken from someone who has already tested negative. Okay. So because we've already tested negative, they have combined all the compounds, the chemical compound that was used in curing you before you become negative, and use that plasma substance to now inject other people who are sick with that same virus, and then it becomes a vaccine. You understand? It could become an antidote, immediate antidote. But if it is approved that a plasma compound from negative COVID-19 patients who have survived it could become vaccination, is still in the pipeline by World Health Organization.
But what about the fact when they say that those people that recovered, it's not as if they were treated for COVID-19. So if you are now taking stuff out of them to make a vaccine, perhaps the most significant symptom was cough or maybe fever, and I was treated with for fever, and I become okay, overcome the fever, and then tested negative. Will it now be saying that, okay, something from me can now be used generically for every other person that has?
No, it's not one symptom. Like COVID-19 doesn't come. A patient with COVID-19 is severe. So
if you test positive, it's always severe.
No. If you test positive, some people could be asymptomatic in nature, but the one that is already chronic, all the symptoms combined together brings you down. So when such person eventually tests negative, the plasma substance from that person could be used as vaccination, but not the word vaccine yet, to just ensure curative measure for another patient who tested positive. Like in the case, they are speculating that was what Ondo State Governor used, Makinde, and then he became negative immediately. Reliably.
From someone that already recovered.
Initially it tested positive, and then some treatment from information I gathered from some medical doctors, they said they used the plasma substance on him from somebody who already tested negative, and then he too became negative. And then that kind of treatment is done by experts. Okay. So these are the areas we are trying to employ into the NCDC, and won't teach them their work. Normally their jobs are very secretive and they keep information to themselves, but this is not the time to hide information, especially as this is pandemic.
All right. Okay, just to lend our voice to what the federal government said, what the Minister of Communication and Information said yesterday. There is no vaccine yet for coronavirus. So whether in Kano, whether in Castina, whether in Anambra, whether anywhere else we are thinking about bringing up any substance and calling it COVID-19 vaccination, please think again, because the long arms of the law might be coming at you. And also a quick reminder that you also need to be a part of this program. We need you to tell us what the situation is wherever you are. The numbers are on the screen. Please call in, please text in. And if you're having challenges with your network, please try another network. Perhaps you just might get across to us, because Nigerians need to know, we need to hear how it is in your locality, how it's affecting you personally, and all the same. Let's go to the news desk for some news headlines. The program continues after that. Join us again. Thanks for staying tuned. It is still the COVID-19 Situation Room of Television Nigerian. Just gone by, we saw some news headlines, especially dealing with so much on COVID-19 and on some other sundry issues. Now, the World Health Organization saying COVID-19 came from bats. And we'll be having so much. I think it's a good thing trying to find out the origin of where this thing is. And because you saw, that was your domain, the quantum thing, 5G and a whole lot of rackets. And now we are seeing bats. You know, initially they did mention an animal. They say Wuhan because they eat a lot of live stuff. They say it's a strain or whatever. Now this World Health Organization is saying bats specifically, they are the guilty partners. So how do we go from there?
Well, I will not argue World Health Organization, but from what I've learned from health experts thus far, we could adjudge that the human system and the human gene is more powerful than that of bat. From that conclusion, I could deduce that if bat, a sickness or a disease in bat could kill human who have stronger gene more than that animal is really, really questionable. That is my own opinion.
Well, we've had some diseases that say emanated from
when Ebola came, they said it came from bat and monkey.
A monkey and bushmeat.
So, well, if they have taken samples from bat and then, or they've injected vaccines on bat to see if it could cure bat, then we'll be ready to accept that vaccine that is coming for a coronavirus if it is truly from bat. That is how to do lab test, because in the analysis you cannot use different test tube for any litmus that you are testing. You have to be accurate in your analysis. So if World Health could come and say this thing is from bat, who am I to argue them? But let's cross-check the genes, the human gene and the animal gene, and know which animal actually have stronger gene than human. Is it in the category of bat or not? That is what we should ask ourselves.
So, Victor, do you think it's kind of putting paid to the speculations about 5G network, quantum of all things?
Well, that is one for a start. So now people get to know that pleasant coronavirus is no way related to 5G technology. They are two different things. And it also finally, to some people, laid their mind to rest when there were actually speculations that this could have come from bats, because right from the beginning there were this speculation that this disease came from a market, from a wet market in China, where they said stuff like bats, lizards, and all of that. So probably it broke out from that market, and now the WHO coming out to say it came from bats. It has actually giving credence to some people's assertion that it was from bat, but then the information came about 6 months late, because this started from or it became a problem in December, and then we are now in April, so it came 5 months late, let me just say that. And this is simply because of what people like Donald Trump and other people are going to say. The organization and this in China were actually colluding to hide information, vital information from the rest of the world, which includes US, which is a major donor to the organization. Because I think if this information were being shared immediately, then they would have gotten where the source. Because I think one thing is, if you have a problem and you need to solve a problem, you need to know the root of that problem. And then where we didn't know where the roots came from, and then we were all just everywhere trying whatever it is that we could try. And they say try chloroquine or whatever.
So people are just speculating and then trying.
To the extent that somebody is not selling vaccine in Kano.
Now, Mr. Dan, I was dying to ask you this, because I saw the news, was it yesterday or thereabout, a professor of physics. He actually did come on this issue of 5G coronavirus relation, and he said there is no way rays from 5G ion can actually be harmful. He did a lot of analysis, and as we were just talking, I was just like, Dan.
well, I did not conceptualize the fact that 5G is the cause or could be the cause of COVID-19.
No, I know you are reacting to some, and you did a lot of study.
Yes, I only brought out the quantum computer and the effect of it.
Yes.
And I also referred us to the European Union standard for radio frequency radiation,
yes.
Which I know the category of quantum computing, especially as regards to 5G and the Internet of All Things, could not be within that jurisdiction, or lay down, standard number for radioactive element. Now, if US is stopping the funding because they are the major donor for World Health Organization.
Okay.
And if Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, stopped the funding and accused World Health Organization, not me, of playing pranks with this COVID-19 outbreak. Again, the same US accused China of hiding information as regarding the real cause of COVID-19. And then suddenly, the World Health Organization woke yesterday to tell us that they have aligned COVID-19 pandemic to bat. People in Africa have been eating bat
for a long time.
Over a long time. And we have had no issue about COVID-19 or even COVID-2 or MERS or whatever. So, see, when people want to conceal vital information as regard health, I begin to smell the rat. From that angle of United States of America, and from what happened in Wuhan before December 31st, you could deduce, even if you are a moron, you could deduce about what is happening. You will not hear it from my mouth, but we have had Trump versus Bill Gates, Trump versus, let me say, United States of America versus World Health, and the United States of America versus
Gates and Melinda
versus China versus Melinda Gates versus Bill Gates vaccines and so on. So eventually, in the long run, we will be having the true nature of the conspiracy theory that we've been shying away from.
Okay, so there is actually
a conspiracy theory.
There is a conspiracy theory that is going on that they don't want us to know. But trust Trump, he will blow the horn.
But I don't know how you want to trust Trump to blow the horn, because at a point Trump was all about saying Chinese virus. But when he had a meeting with the Chinese president, he came out to also commend the efforts of this Chinese government and said they have been doing well, and then he no longer called it Chinese virus, he called it for what it was, that it was coronavirus.
Yes.
And then we also look at it that for the fact that we have been eating bats for a very long time, we don't have coronavirus. It doesn't mean that maybe
something
cannot come, because
that is
when we had Ebola, they said it was from bushmeat, and you as a Benjamin, you know you've been eating bushmeat as well, and you didn't get Ebola.
You remind me of something before I forget. Let me quickly add it.
Okay.
From your statement, say we've been eating bat, and then suddenly we now realize that bat could cause COVID-19.
Yeah.
Now, could we say that a substance, or either a chemical substance, was tested on a sample on bat to see the reaction?
Okay.
You understand? And then the bat now mutinates.
Exactly.
And people start eating the bat that is already infected with some substance.
Exactly.
So you see,
another angle
we have bat in zoo. No, because this situation, I always prefer that we deal with it in real terms, because when you talk about it this way, it still falls under less than conspiracy theory, which
speculation.
Yes, speculation, which are not basically.
I am not the one speculating.
No. See, the thing is, we eat cow meat, we eat beef almost every time, but then there are certain beef meat that you get to eat, and then you fall sick from meat because of whatever. Maybe the cow before being killed wasn't had some disease or
yeah, that's when we now talk about food poisoning. And
yes, so it could actually come from there. And then in an environment like the wet market where you had all sorts of animals all together selling bat, lizard, cockroaches, whatever it is that they eat in that in China. It's a mix-up. You definitely find something. So it's like you are going to a slum to get food, and then how does it look like when you go to a very dirty environment to and get food? So I think I want to go with the less than WHO when they say it's for bats, and maybe now people now start looking at these bats as a possible solution, how they can trace it, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think it is no longer the source of COVID-19 now. We are driving at solution. So now that they have discovered the source, let them give us the solution. As simple as ABC.
Okay, still on the world issues. The United Nations says COVID-19 could double number of persons at risk of hunger, with potentially catastrophic impact on the most vulnerable. And UN and other experts have also warned that coronavirus crisis will push more than 250 million people to the brink of starvation unless swift action is taken to provide food and humanitarian relief to the most people at risk. I mean, to the most of the regions at a very risk. Now, about 265 million people around the world are forecast to be facing acute food insecurity by the end of this year. No thanks to coronavirus.
Like how many people?
265 million.
265 million people at risk globally, and out of that 260 something, we Nigeria
Africa.
Nigeria alone, we are already controlling about 86 million of those people. And there's basically no two ways about it. When this coronavirus ends, things that we are going to experience economic meltdown, which will push many countries into recession, including Nigeria, that will not be able to get back on our feet in due time, in quick time. And they're also looking at the fact that yes, it's going to push a lot of people into
starvation,
and poverty, because at this moment people are not going to work. Those that have those businesses are stagnant. People are not going to work. Companies are laying off people, because it doesn't make sense that there are no activities and then you are keeping a huge wage bill. And then when this is all over, this company are not going to reabsorb these people back immediately, because you still need to do activities to earn money so that you can begin to pay salaries. Whatever savings people have, now they are actually spending those services just to survive. And unlike what we have in the US, UK, where government is taking care of your house rent and all of that, in Nigeria we don't know, except individual landlords who are very compassionate to say, okay, because of this situation we are going to waive this out or do whatever. But then most landlords, because of this same situation, they'll be looking forward to
money.
Yes.
So where would the money come from? And also looking at the fact, we are just thinking about individual companies and private sector that are laying off people. What about the government sector? Now, government has always depended on dole-outs from the center, which comes basically from oil. Now the oil has crashed. So soon there will be no money for the government to give to the states to pay their salaries. And there is no IGR because people are at home, nobody is working and all of that. So government also might start laying off.
Well,
so what?
I don't think it is in the habit of government to lay off people. They are rather in the habit of owing.
Because they will owe the people.
Yes, see, at least you have employment, and then as time goes on, you might get to be paid. And then when you look at even Nigeria, when they were about trying to slash the budget, whatever, they slashed the budget not from any other place, but from the less than capital budget. Say 300 billion should be removed from the entire distance, but they won't touch the recurrent expenditures because they need to pay. But then at the point they will not be able to. We actually saw in the papers today where states are worried because there was a record drop in the less than federal allocation to states.
To the states, exactly.
So how are they going to manage? So it means that those states that we already owing about 18 months salary, now they are going to extend it more by some few more
But
months.
even the FG has, ordered last week, that all state owing salaries should pay.
From where?
With what?
Should pay, and should ensure that even pensioners are paid their allowances.
The states that used to be depending on bailouts from the government, and they are not asking them to pay.
It shouldn't be. When you were talking about hunger, And I think in any disadvantaged position, there could be a way out. There could be an advantage, especially we in Africa and Nigerians who are predominantly farmers. If we capitalize on our diversification into agriculture, whether subsistence or mechanized, we could feed the world now. Every nation is trying to be a pace setter for one production or the other to give to the world, to export to the world. We could make history from this, or make our own story, that yes, we could feed the world with food. At one time, last year, under the former Minister of Agriculture, we realized that it was said that we are already food sufficient.
But I think they were talking basically about rice, the rice revolution that they...
Yes,
so
apart
rice
from
is now
rice,
the only food.
what happened to the normal production we used to have? Yam, cocoa, groundnut. Is it that the soils disappeared? The soils are still there. Is it that the fertilizers disappeared? The fertilizers, we are even giving fertilizers to the local farmers.
It had a lot of issues too.
But I'm saying we distribute fertilizers to local farmers. We have corporate, what do you call them? Cooperative associations that help in farming, even mechanized farming. Then we used to have agro-allied industries in each state of the country. We have Fadama. This is time for us to wake up the agricultural sector, vigorously. And we have to put in all effort, because you cannot do much white-collar job anymore if the propaganda or the action, the reaction of COVID-19 goes on. It means people will be locked down and people will need food. So if they predicted that before the end of this year, we are in April, which is we are entering the raining season, where farmers could farm even yam. Yam seed could be planted, yes. Corn, where you can get grains. Semovita, so we don't have to leave it alone in the hands of Dangote or Basanjo and who have you that are farmers in mechanized, form in the country.
Obviously, those people, we are not able to feed the whole nation because we are still dependent on imports.
They could actually feed, but what happened is that rather than feeding the nation, because government do not have subsidy, in place for farm produces, they export it. They export to neighboring African countries and even to Europe and America.
So now they should stop importation.
They should stop exportation of these food produces, and government have reserve. What about even our financial reserve? Don't we have reserve?
Do we have financial reserve?
Yes, we have.
The less and foreign reserve.
We have foreign reserve. We also have local reserve.
And then we are talking about borrowing. Why are we then borrowing?
We are borrowing because we believe that it is easier to get loans from IMF and then to have a collateral agreement of partnering. Partnering in some sectors. It doesn't mean that we are not self-sufficient. If Nigeria as a government, as a nation, wants to feed the 54 African countries, we could. We have the land. We have. What does it take to revamp agriculture? In a pace of 6 months, you could do that. In a pace of 1 year, you could do that. So it is time to look inward. So if we are predicting hunger, we are not in Somalia where they don't have lands, where their weather condition is bad. This is Nigeria.
Yeah, but we are in a country where we have everything, and most people are not used to.
This is where NISAR, the agricultural lending, whatever, risk lending should begin. This is where the Bank of Agriculture should wake up. Even the Bank of Industry that empowers entrepreneurs should encourage, farmers now.
The thing is, okay,
I'm looking at the fact that if at this point we are still saying we should look inward, where, like, what part of the inward are we looking at? Is it
agriculture?
Beyond where we are looking
because
in this administration there has been so much ado about let's diversifying the economy into agriculture, which there is testimony of how much they have done in that regards. Even in the past.
With the former minister.
Yes, former agriculture, we know how much that at a point they even came out to celebrate that we exported yam outside.
Which was eventually rejected.
Yeah, which was eventually rejected anyway. But then in this same government, we've seen that before the BOA, which seems to be as if they were dormant or non-existent, came up to life, they were giving money to say, okay, let's give it as loan to farmers and people who will do this. BOI, as you mentioned earlier, we are also active. NISAD, people are getting to hear of NISAD now because there have been so much focus on agriculture. And then we look at even the CBN, from time to time we're bringing out incentives and policies that we help motivate and encourage farmers to go to the farm and make sure that we are food sufficient, which was what made the government come out at the point and say we are food sufficient. There was so much about rice revolution. We had rice in Kano, rice in KB, rice in Lagos,
rice in every state, wherever
it is. So at this point, I don't think it's about we looking inward again to try to diversify the economy. We are already diversifying the economy.
But then the reality is still that hunger is staring us in the face
because we are not actually producing enough. There has not been this total sincerity about this classification about yes in the whole whatever. Even in BOA, by the time you are a farmer, you want to go there, or you somebody that you know how
yes, but now it's not the time to play that bureaucracy. That bottleneck has to be removed.
But the thing is, Nigeria has always been immersed in less than bureaucracy.
So the government's having to have that reorientation.
That is why we are telling the government now, looking inward now, change what you were doing that gave you no result. If it is the bottleneck of corruption or political gimmicks, it is time for you to eschew it for the sake of the people you are leading. And for the sake that you don't want to be called a beggarly nation or categorized into a poverty nation or a nation with hunger. We have been known to be food sufficient and we produce in large quantity. So
that most of them even go to waste.
Yes. Now the oil has dropped from 65 to about $25 per barrel. And this oil, the oil has been the bane of our GDI up to over 90%. So what do? Do you run away and say you must depend on IMF or World Bank? You must. But life must go. Life must go on, and governance must still be sustained. So what do? Mathematically, the only alternative we have now, which will give us quick result, is agriculture. We have diversified from 2015, and we have to sustain it. We have to sustain it. Whatsoever were the loophole that blocked us from growing the food as a nation that will sustain us, we have to eschew it now.
I agree with you, but what I'm saying is this sort of thinking, it is what we, the people outside government, people who are really concerned about Nigeria, this is what we think. Those in government don't think in that.
They are listening to us now, well.
No, they listen.
And they have to learn.
Yes, every day we talk and they listen that every day. You can write articles, you can put up publications on the TV. They will listen, but they don't think in that direction. You will think less than patriotism, they don't think patriotism. You are looking at the fact that, okay, they need to remove some of these less than bureaucracy bottlenecks because of whatever. But because of this corruption you're talking about is the reason why these bottlenecks are going to be there. When we had this issue of less than COVID-19, what was there? There was this little friction between the less than Minister of Health and the chairman of NCDC. Is it chairman and DG of NCDC?
Why?
Because one person felt I should be the one on top of the situation, giving out information, and not you are under me. And this person is like, okay, this is my own agency. I'm supposed to give in this. So let some bureaucracy not happens again. The letter minister has to say this has to pass through before it gets to the NCDC or whatever, like, and then it slows down a lot of things.
Exactly.
And then, but I think if government, you say they listen, if they take your advice or advice we're giving, let them relax a lot of those bureaucracies. Let's go straight to how we can get the
govern.
Like in line with that, and we are not hearing really straightforward or proactive policy decisions from the government, especially post COVID-19 or post relaxation of lockdown or all of that. How do people quickly react to revamping the economy, getting back to normal life and all of that? And then hunger is staring us in the face. This is the rainy season. We are in a lockdown. A lot of people, normally people travel, especially from Abuja here. Most people travel back to their states once the rain starts to go and farm, till their land, plant yam and stuff, and then come back when the season, and still go back again during the harvest season. Now they can't move. There's lockdown, they can't move to go and cultivate. Now, should the government be looking in that direction and also bringing out policies, agricultural friendly policies that will encourage young people to go into agriculture? Soon you see a lot of young people say we are at home, we are bored, we are hungry and all of that. And because they always go out to look for menial jobs that are far away from agriculture. Now those jobs are obviously not going to be there for a while. So now agriculture is here. This is the season. What policies should government actually be looking at now? Because we are not just talking about this, we are preferring solutions. Perhaps the Minister of Agriculture is listening, perhaps the NOA is listening, perhaps Uncle Lai is listening as well, so that he will help us spread it louder. So what should they be thinking about right now? Especially getting people involved in agriculture. This is the season, this is the time. And hunger is staring everybody in the face.
Well, in fact, I think there is no better time for them to really put in efforts in this agricultural sector than now. When right now people have the time, they could actually do anything. Now there's no hindrance to anything.
Yes.
Especially for farmers. If at this moment you're even telling farmers that they can get access to loans or grants, whatever, they'll be very willing to get it at this moment, and you make provisions for them to go to the farm. Yes. They will be very willing to go to the farm. I hate to say...
Yeah, just like they grant the journalists pass, health services pass, you can grant farmers, but do farmers have ID cards to be on the road?
No, but like the last time we say, most farming activities are done at the rural areas. And
there are people in the urban areas that do migrate for the purpose of going to farm.
This level of farming now, should not be left only
to the subsistence.
No, it is not even less on subsistence farming. If you look at
a state should be able to feed her citizens
with people working the farm.
And so the thing is, if you go to like this person's farm, Atiku's farm, or you go to Obasanjo's farm, these are farms that are in the rural area, but they are very big. They are actually mechanized farm, and these are farms that also have some sort of quarters for staff, whatever. So maybe for this time, those who say you stay from the city and then go to those areas to work can actually migrate, just like the way some people in the media do. Stay in the office so that you can get your work done. So they also could move to those quarters or somewhere close to the farm area and then do their work. And
then they should make provision for land, because if you look around, for instance, in the FCT, you see a whole lot of expanse of land that are not cultivated. I don't know whether people own those places, but there are a whole lot of expanse of land
apart from
that are not cultivated.
Those lands. I don't know what the Minister of Agriculture, what policy and blueprint. I have not really gone through his blueprint. Sabo Nanano, what is that his name? Nanano. So, and the Minister of State for Agriculture also. I try to check their blueprint to figure out where the trajectory they have in the next 3 years or 4 years since they incepted into office. And I really can't see anything much different. But now something is staring at us, which is the COVID-19, and is a pandemic. And we are talking about food shortage now in this very year we are, let's say before the end of this year. So if he wants to make history, this is the time to show that, yes, show some level of expertise and sagacity that, yes, you are qualified to mount that office. Because if not, people will begin to laugh at you. People will begin to say, why in the first place you occupied that office as a minister? And because if we're talking about food sufficiency, if we're talking about agro-allied produces, if we're talking about farmlands and even finished agricultural processes, local content production, first-hand, processing industries, or first-level processing industry in the country, the onus is on him now. And in all the 36 states, we have commissions that are agricultural commissions, and we have commissioners mounting those places. So I don't see it as a big work, and the fund is also there in the Bank of Agriculture, and also in the Bank of Industry. And this fund is not meant to be embezzled, and that bottleneck must be removed. Because you could die of COVID-19 if you are trying to siphon or embezzle people's money in this era where people are hungry and they are looking for alternative. For food production is very easy. And when we talk about food, we're not even talking about only yam, tomato, or whatever. Animal production is still there.
Yeah, we eat meat too.
We eat meat. And so these things are possible. So encourage people. Just get people encouraged to go into farming. And then state government should take the onus. Those Fadama land that lies fallow everywhere.
Exactly.
Let them begin to cultivate and plant food. Those things are for us. Of
course, and I will not stop talking about the youth. NYSC should turn into a full farming scheme.
Yes.
Fully mechanized, not just to give you hoes.
Yes.
Mechanized agriculture, and let the NYSC be all the states.
We also have University of Agriculture all over.
Exactly.
And these are the reasons why in the Second Republic, those universities were, created.
And funny enough, if you even go to those universities, I attended one of agriculture.
Yes.
You find out that most, especially when you talk about mechanization, it will shock you that you just get to see. In fact, I just got to drive tractor for just one day. And it's just for, is it like 3 or 4 minutes? Just go front and backwards, and you come down and they grade you. And that's done for the whole of your study.
For 4 years.
You understand? And this is a federal university.
That is
agriculture. So a lot needs to be done.
A lot.
The youth, still emphasizing on youth. This is the time. This is the time. Very soon we are going to be going to the street and you'll be seeing reaction of young people talking about hunger and all of that. So government needs to do something proactive in that direction. We don't want to see any landline fallow that doesn't have any building on it, that shouldn't have corn, cassava or whatever being planted on it. Both in the Federal Capital Territory, travel between here to Jos or Kaduna, you see hectares of land. And why are they
federal government?
Federal government.
This again boils down to the issue of palliative. Do you know that with 10,000 naira, if you want to farm cassava, you could clear about 3 to 4 hectares of land for cassava. Get it farmed and planted. Once you have the seeds, the stems.
And the stems,
do you understand? Can easily do you know that with 50,000, let me say 100,000 naira, yam production, once you have the land could be cleared, cultivated, found, and seed planted, up to 2 to 3 hectares of yam farmland.
Of course.
And when you are harvesting, you could imagine within the pace of 7 months, the yam is out. And let's talk about poultry farming. These things are what I have done myself. And I could tell. You don't even need to go carry the hoe and farm yours. There are people, there are laborers who do it for you. And when it comes to when to weed the grass,
in fact, it is
you give them money, there are chemicals to buy and spray, and that is done.
If you go to the Ministry of Agriculture, there are a lot.
Because if you depend on these salaries and white-collar jobs,
no, the
hunger.
You were talking about the blueprints of, you wanted to see the blueprints of the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
I will tell you that they are fantastic. In fact, youth-oriented, blah, blah, blah. Where is the political will to implement these things?
All right.
They will tell you, come, they will give you hectares of land, but go and apply. A year, they've not even got.
He should act now, otherwise we'll begin to open up
Exactly.
a campaign against him.
So please, let's this is the time. And like we used to say, there is no business like agribusiness. This is the time. You know, it's all about chains. There's a whole value chain to everything. It's not. In fact, if you're not into production, you can be into processing or packaging.
Yes.
There are a whole lot of things that we could do to revamp.
Farmers are even very happy now.
Yes, to
go
revamp.
to my village, they are very happy. You know, Gary, a bag of Gary before, or let me say a basin of Gary before, they used to come and buy 2,000 cheaply.
But now,
something that you process within 2 days. Somebody will just give you 2,000, a basin of Gary. I'm talking about clean Gary. That is a cassava grain. Now is about 18,000 naira.
those ones are along the inflationary lines, which we should even be worried. We should be worried. The farmers
The bag, like the bag, 4 basins could make a bag. So initially, 4 basins could be sold like 8K. Now you can see the exponential hike in the price. 18,000. So because if you are a farmer, you should be encouraged.
Yeah, okay. It's because of the shortage we are talking about. So soon people are going to eat up all those ones they have now. So we are going to the next one to eat.
So that, at least that should serve for over a period of
time.
More than 2 decades. Farmers in this country, they have not been encouraged. They have been highly discouraged. People do it with their strength. So now
the government has really done enough for a lot, not enough, but they're going to
for some hijacked farmers, have you?
No, but then we
for some political farmers.
You've heard of that's a Hackers Less and Borders program. Some
yes.
people got the grant and then refused.
Well, I don't believe that Nigeria could be, go into hunger, whatever that the World Health is predicting.
That's if we don't take proactive actions.
We will take proactive actions,
especially from.
We will definitely take the Minister of Agriculture, the Bank of Industry, the Bank of Agriculture. They must do the needful.
And not just these people. I'm aware of the Tony Elumelu Foundation. He gives grants for people, especially agri-based. No, you have to come up with your proposal.
Okay.
Do your plan and all of that. And submit is a competition, and if it's good enough, they will give you. Now we shouldn't just wait for Tony Elumelu. There are a lot of other millionaires. Those people that are doling out 1.2 million and billions to the government now set up schemes.
Exactly.
Set up grants for farming for young people to be able to do all of these things.
That is
it. So that is our own contribution on the platform, especially in this case that the United Nations is talking about hunger. Nigeria will not have any reasons to be hungry. The list of people of countries that will face that imminent hunger they are talking about. In fact, it's a time for us to build our GDP, because we will be supplying food to those countries.
Exactly.
We will be going through that hunger. That is only if the government should do the needful, and the time for them to do it is now. So let's go to the street and find out what people are talking about: hunger versus coronavirus. Which one is more dangerous? Join us after this.
This hunger.
Yes. I'll choose coronavirus to hunger.
3 times with the chop a day.
Coronavirus is more dangerous.
The problem on ground now is even worse than coronavirus.
Between hunger and coronavirus, which one is more dangerous?
Hunger is more dangerous.
Why do you think so?
Staying at home, you are not working, money is not coming, and to come outside and contact the, it's better we come outside, let us get the virus, than to stay at home and be. You see, when you die on hunger, that one is more dangerous, I'm telling you.
Well, have you heard of any barrier of someone this person died of hunger?
No, I have never heard about anybody who died about coronavirus.
I'm talking about hunger.
Hunger, yes, people have already, even the particular place where I am now, people are dying.
Have you attended a burial of person who died of hunger?
It's just a little boy, because before, hunger you torment children than matured people. You understand me now? Hunger do torment children than matured ones, because the matured one can be able to bear the hunger, but the children can never be able to bear it.
I'm referring to you now. Do you prefer coming outside or staying?
As a citizen of Nigeria, I prefer coming outside to come and hustle than to stay inside there and die on hunger.
What if you contact the virus?
Nothing will happen to African man. African man does not die in a virus.
The hunger virus now pass, now was pass. How many children you get? 4. And you dey work. you are not doing any business at all, and the money that they pay you in your working place, that's the only thing you capitalize on. Hunger will come out your children. Contracting coronavirus. See, even if you are inside the house, you will still contact the coronavirus. If there is coronavirus at all, if you are inside the house, you contact it. If you come outside, you will still contact it if God wants you to contact. But for the children of God, nobody will as long as there is God, you will not contact coronavirus.
Coronavirus and hunger. Coronavirus is more dangerous now because it kills. They say you should stay at home, but they don't even give us anything to eat, no money. Even the light is not steady, water is not steady, and they say we should stay at home. We can't stay at home now.
If you come outside now, you contact the virus and to stay
I can't contact the virus. This is for me, I can't contact the virus because I believe I'm a poor man, I don't have money, and I only believe that it's only big men that contact that virus. Me, I can't contact the virus, it's for me. I can't contact the virus. I'm very sure. I have blood now. I can't contact. I'm just telling the truth. I can't contact. I prefer to come outside because I'm a hustler. I work here. I pay phone. I'm an engineer. I work for in Mango Tree here. So I prefer to come outside and hustle for my daily bread than to stay at home. Sit at home is still the best.
Afternoon.
Both. Coronavirus. Why did I come outside? I want to buy food for my children. I did. I have sanitizer. But I can't prepare perishable goods. I have to buy tomatoes and other things. I can't freeze them because most time there's no light.
Coming outside and staying at home.
I prefer coming outside because there's no money for me to eat. Federal government didn't pay me money. I'm a hand worker. I'm not a salary earner. There's no money for me to eat. So I need to come out to look for what to eat.
Between staying at home and die of hunger and coming outside and contact the virus and die.
Actually, staying at home would have been okay if the palliatives where government put in place is reaching the particular people that is meant for. It will be okay, but how can you tell somebody that is hungry not to come out? It's not possible. If you stay at home, you don't have anything to eat, you must die. So that's why some people, all of us, some of us are hanging outside to know whether we can see anything to eat.
If you come out and contact the virus, you also die.
Yes, but in actual sense, we are trying to keep some distance to avoid the contamination. But if government want to help us, they will actually place this in, maybe use how they used to share NEPA bill to bring all these things to our own doorsteps.
Now, between coronavirus and hunger, which one is more dangerous?
Coronavirus is very dangerous, as we meant to know, but hunger is also dangerous. Though I have not seen somebody that is affected, but the one is affecting me is more dangerous. Hunger.
It's like hunger is more dangerous. Because now, like we know that anything we make in a day, that's what we used to eat. And some of us, like me particularly, nobody, if I don't sell, how will I eat? This is the only way I used to survive. Now if they ask us to stay at home now without supporting us with anything, how do we survive? If we are running away from this coronavirus and hunger kill us at home, is it not still the same thing?
What if you come outside and you have the coronavirus?
Sir, to me, I don't believe in that. I decide to come out here, anything I get, we will use it, we will eat. And now if they try to stop us, that
You choose anyone, both of them. Man, I can't sit at home because hunger is even more dangerous than the corona itself.
As you see me come outside, you know, say, if I come outside, if I don't come outside, I'll take up. I'll take up my brother. Sitting down at home, we money come, sitting down at home. Did the government make provision for food? Nothing. So I have to come outside to hustle, to get one or two things so I can take care of myself.
Now between coronavirus and hunger, which is more dangerous?
Hunger is very dangerous. because that one will drastically just take away your life.
Have you attended burial of someone who killed by hunger?
I pray not to, because the burial itself is even starvation.
So why do you say hunger is more dangerous?
Because it kills.
More than coronavirus?
More than coronavirus. The coronavirus that we're talking about, so is it? Let him day is day, they will be their own day, because hunger alone is something that is very, very serious.
Actually, both of them are dangerous.
Thanks for joining us again on the Situation Room. We just heard Nigerians there reacting. Hunger versus coronavirus. Which one do you think is more dangerous? Let me just ask you, Victor. Hunger. Which one? What's your take?
I think I'll just go with those two that said both are dangerous. Yeah, and for me, basically, I wouldn't say hunger is more dangerous because I hate hunger and I like food. So.
Okay, so Dan, which one did you go for?
Coronavirus is more dangerous
than hunger.
You could be sustained. You could have solution for hunger even within 48 hours, or hunger may not kill you even within 48 hours. Corona could kill you even within 2 hours. And hunger have solution. That is, you could even walk into an inn if you have no hope again, eat, and ask somebody to pay that you're hungry. But you cannot carry the disease to anywhere. People will be running away from you. Medical experts will even have to guard themselves to be able to take care of you.
Yeah, but if you ask me, if I am to give my own opinion, I think hunger. Yes, because if you have coronavirus and you are hungry, it's like double wahala.
Yes, that is double wahala.
Because if you eat well, you will not get coronavirus.
And that is why in a better, in a safer or saner climes, you see them giving them palliative like food and money to stay at home.
Yeah, but that food and money, who grows those food? Where is the food and money come from?
It's the government. Government, like I told
government do not manufacture food.
Government grow food. We used to grow food in this country. We used to grow food in this country. I grew up to meet my father coming home as a military man, coming home with every month, bags of food, rice, beans, turkey oil, and so on.
What happens is that they go to acquire those things, because I've not seen
They don't acquire those things. They don't acquire those things. Even before President Ibrahim, ex-President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida introduced the Structural Adjustment Program, SAP, under Alhaji Shehu Shagari. I was a kid, but I could see how every quarter, every block, intelligent block in Sokoto State, they were distributing food. As soon as the month ends, all the military, the armies, they have food.
Yeah, even the civil government could actually afford these things.
I'm talking
about Fadama.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is this: those food that government distributes, they use money to go to the market.
They subsidize. No, government used to farm. Army used to farm. Army.
So have army farmers.
Yes, army have agricultural department. They farm their food and store their food. I am a living witness to it.
Okay.
This just the way they store ammunition now. They store food
and feed themselves
and feed their personnel.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yes,
so I think that's what every other person should be.
All the categories of food that you know, army have them there.
Yes,
you understand. Even turkey oil. Then you used to have in Taraku. You used to have Taraku meals. You have meals in each state.
Yeah, do you know why?
Where they refine these produces.
I understand what you're talking about.
We just left those things for oil, and then we are now crying that we are not hungry.
I always make reference to myself because, like I told you, I attended the University of Agriculture.
Yes.
We farm. As a student, you are given portions of land. But you don't get to eat those food. In fact, the gari that the school package, you can't even buy it. You can't even afford it. In fact, they don't like, okay, come and give you.
They seize them
during
from
the harvest. That's what they score you for. So you strive to make sure you get a very good harvest. That you hire your yield, they hire your mark, and then those food is taken away. They take it to processing, and that's the end of it. You don't get to see it, and if you have to see it, you have to buy it.
Well,
so now, if you tell me that the army farm and they feed themselves.
They subsidize.
They just come
they
and
actually subsidize with low amount. I know.
Okay, they just buy it like
it is when IBB came, he now introduced structural adjustment that they are spoiling people, that they are giving people too much of money and too much of food.
Okay.
And people should learn to save and so on. And the saving, nobody know where it went. I think it was NS Shonikon that was the bank then. You understand?
All right. We will not stop advocating for.
You know, is it NS Shonikon?
Whoever
this man. Let me.
Yeah.
One of the secretary to that department.
Yes.
Olufalai.
Okay. He has done. So we are talking about now. And so what we are advocating is, please, everybody should think agriculture. Think green. Think agriculture. There is no alternative. Now the oil that everybody is talking about is almost like a mirage now. It costs a dime a dozen. You can't even make anything out of it. But your food is worth the while. So I think if you should ask me about lockdown, we're going to talk about lockdown. So I think the farm is one very good place that you can maintain social distancing normally. I mean, is it 1 meter or 2 meters?
It's 6 feet.
So everybody can allow people to go to the farms, maintain social distance, and farm and exercise yourself, because there have been issues about joggers in the morning jogging and they're being arrested. So please don't jog. Go to the farm, exercise, farm that part, farm that cassava, farm that maize, and in the process you are exercising, not just roaming the streets in the
hunger no celebrity
in the pretext of keeping fit.
Hunger self no fine boy.
Now let's talk about the lockdown situation and also the palliatives. Yeah, in Abuja, in the Federal Capital Territory, they've started distributing palliatives. The ministry, FCTA, I think 2 days ago they went to Abaji. Okay, today they are supposed to be in Kwali distributing food. And also we saw some corporate social responsibility yesterday. Some companies, some organizations donating food directly to the FCTA.
That is it.
For them to distribute using their own channels. And they said in our interaction with them that they don't want to make the mistake of what happened in Lagos, people who come in and people crowding, violating the social distancing, and then the palliative not getting around. Now they are doing house to house distribution of this food. And they said it was successful in Abaji. Today they are going to, I'm sure by now they should be in Kwali, and so we are hoping when it gets to our door, hopefully you are going to come and share part of it. But now, how do you think Nigerians have held up so far?
Well, so far so good. We have been basically holding up fine, because it's just 1 month so far. So 1 month is still a little bit. Okay, no, it's going to 1 month, and that is 3 weeks plus.
Yeah.
And it's not yet much of a long time. I think when we'll be asking the question how far we are holding so far is after this. Yes, I know, after this extension and then the next extension, because
you're talking about a next extension.
Definitely, an extension is
No,
coming.
there is going to be
a relaxation of this. Maybe in other areas, but definitely not Lagos, not Abuja, and not Kano, because maybe we're looking like Kano will now fall under the
epicenter.
Yes, of those states that are going to be declared. So I think it's at that point we'll now begin to ask people how you holding them. I think it's at that point Nigerians will not stay at home, because people will just have to go out to basically look for food. The hunger we're talking about, that is when it's going to be very, very rife around. In fact, even people that you see looking good that the government will not categorize as poorest of the poor are also struggling right now to survive, which is the reason why I was saying earlier that Nigerians are not going to stay at home, because by the time you even offer some palliatives of 20,000 naira and food to the people you consider the poorest of the poor, and then there are people you don't consider poorest of the poor because of maybe whatever it is, maybe they have a job or whatever, but then they are really suffering from this. So why those ones might stay at home, this one will now go out to go and look for what to eat.
But I said government has I don't know if you guys can confirm that they are going to use BVN now
to confirm
to reach out the poorest of the poor.
Yeah, even you can see the problem is the system is always going to be flawed. You will never get a very good or perfect reach to the poorest of the poor people that you are basically talking about. Because when you look at in the US, UK, for example, when they wanted to give out this lesson palliatives, they did not discriminate who they give these two. So I think it now rests to them, like those that they can really say, okay, yes, you are really doing well, you don't need this money. But then when they made their budget, about 2 trillion naira to be as a package for, $2 trillion to be as a package for these palliatives. It was to everybody. Adults, less than citizen, you are getting 1,200. As a child, you're getting $500. Then as a household, you're getting $3,000. And this is just one off for the entire duration. So now they don't care whether you are poorest of the poor, or you are poor of the poor, or you are poor of the rich. It's just like everybody should get it. And I think that's where we are at this moment. It's the reason why we're looking like use a BVN, send people money. At that point where you are saying that if people have less than 5,000 and whatever, then they are considered. I think it was a fair idea. Because those that have that amount of money might really use some, but then somebody that will have like 50,000, 100,000 in their account, you can't really categorize it that they are going to suffer within this period. So although they might have peculiar.
If they have the money there already, so they should use it.
They should use it and survive. Yeah, exactly. So now, if you're going to use BV, and then you're going to look at the bank history and their bank statement, how much are being, but then it's not. I don't think it's really going to really solve the problem, because I'm definitely sure that some people are going to be left out who really need money.
Okay, now what do you have to say about this?
Well, really, I'm tired of issues of lockdown and palliative. I've overflowed.
Maybe you've gotten it already.
I'm just
gotten a kind of palliative.
I'm looking for a solution for COVID-19 rather than all this. I think I'm tired of talking about the palliative. The government knows what to do, and if they pretend not to know, so be it.
So, but if you are talking about it and nothing is happening and the people are there, as the government is not listening to you, do you just give up?
I will not give up. We will know when to make the right changes. I think election will soon come.
These are not the people that are alive then that will vote.
Well, exactly.
What I know, whether
if this hunger comes and kills us, everybody.
if the hunger comes and people are, people die from hungry, and the country, the FG and the state government do nothing about them, it will tell in the future. People have history to write. People will definitely have to write your performance, to talk about your achievement, your antecedents. So definitely it will spring up one day. So there are people that are still going to be alive. So when you do the right thing, it will appraise you in the future. And if you do the wrong thing, it will also be told in the future.
All right. Now,
so
government
history towards it.
Government is doing a whole lot of things to alleviate the situation of Nigerians. At least what they told us they are doing, and we've been seeing some of the actions being told. And one of them, I think, the president is advocating for decongesting the prisons, decongesting the prisons. And then in Kano, we heard about returning our marjories back to their states. All these things are efforts of government. You're all in a bit to contain the spread of all this. But really, are they really what should be the focal points?
We cannot basically neglect or underplay those decisions from this government, especially the federal government, for saying that they are going to decongest the prison. I think they're basically learning from basically what has happened to other countries. Like in Morocco, for example, there was an outbreak of this coronavirus in the prison. I know in prison, you know how it is, like it's a little bit tight and all of that, so it spread around in that manner. It also happened in Tunisia and in other places. So I think it was from borrowing a leaf from these two countries and other countries like that that made the federal government to say we need to decongest our prison. And then that means some people are going to be lucky that then their long term or whatever is going to cut short at some point.
And also, I did hear some in the news also. I think it's Ekiti, or it's one of those states that they were fine. They were, they have mobile court and you get people that break the lockdown order. Some of them are getting 6 months and they are jailing some people.
Even in FCT here.
And you're talking about decongesting and then you're taking people in.
Even in FCT here.
So in the FCT, I heard the chief judge of the FCT came out to say, I heard him speaking on television that they should not jail anybody. They should just make them do community service.
Just like what they do in Lagos.
Not send people to jail. Shouldn't that be replicated in every other, instead of giving people jail terms and option of fine about millions of naira?
Definitely, that is the most ideal thing to do, and that is what Lagos was doing and then they did right. You remember even the joggers that we arrested or less than Akindele, all those people were giving community service. You just need to carry it out, and it helps a lot because at the end of the day, when you're looking like if you get these people clustered in a particular area and then the virus breaks out, then it becomes a problem. So taking away, you don't need to take people, just like we say, just like we Nigerians, sometimes we don't know how we are doing. It's like we take one step forward and then we take another decision that takes us
5 steps back.
Yeah.
Decongesting the prison is a welcome development. Prison has been overcrowded over a long period of time, and also sending back the Almajiris from the street in Kano, and not only in Kano, Zamfara should do the same.
Abuja,
no,
Nasarawa. Even in Abuja here, we have Almajiris.
Not
really that pronounced.
Yes, you know the level of Almajiri activities in Zamfara State, Kano State, and Kaduna State is alarming. So sending them back to their villages with incentives could be better.
To their parents.
But then again, will it really solve any situation?
Hold on. Yeah, it will solve. The issue of religious attachee to that norm of Almajiri should also be sensitized, reorientate. Because if I borrow a leaf from the statement of Sanusi, Lamidu Sanusi, the former emir of Kano, and also the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, he said, Islam does not encourage poverty and begging. You understand? Under him, we had a lot of renovation in the banking sector and industry, including the Islamic Bank, which not only for Muslims, for both Muslims and Christians, benefiting alike. So people should take advantage of such, institution to better the people they lead, especially in Kano State, Kaduna State, and Zamfara State, where I have witnessed, and Sokoto State too, the activities of Almajiri. It is very, very pathetic.
And also this Almajiri,
absurd. It's uncalled for.
Yeah, if you mentioned this banking and all of that, you find out that the Almajiris, just like we are talking about the root cause of COVID-19. What's the root cause of Almajiri? Now you find out people marry and give birth. I think you marry as much as 5, 6 wives. 4. Okay.
Maximum of 4.
And they produce
there was
children.
A man that married up to 80.
You understand?
Massa in Niger State.
So how will you take care of all these people? So that's maybe what actually helps to the growth of this.
It's basically poverty.
Yeah.
That is the main source of Almajiri.
Yeah, because within even that poverty level, you still see a poor barrow pusher has 4 wives, 3 wives, 4 wives. How does it sustain them?
And even child marriage.
So I think it should be systemic ways. You look at the system, you look at the religion. Then in the case of the prison decolonization, look at our judicial system. I mean, some people have been there for so long, for very flimsy.
Awaiting trials.
The justice system.
That prison own should kickstart immediately.
So this is
innocent people, poor people. I'm not trying to say that people who are in the prison are all innocent, but they are largely innocent, and they are largely awaiting trials. Justice must be seen to be done. The judicial system should really, really wake up in this country. Though COVID-19 has taken over everything, but it has not stopped some party politics and utterances unbecoming to the fight against COVID-19. So, well, I will commend the FG for pronouncing that decongestion, and the Kano State government for thinking that way of removing or taking all Almajiris from the street. It should be done quickly. It should be done quickly. Whether they know their houses or not, the government should provide a place for them to stay, and they should also have that lay down rules. They should remember the lay down rule from the NCDC for social distancing, because this prediction that Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, and World Health is predicting, if it dare happen in a place like Kano, at the moment, it is going to be massacre.
Disastrous.
Disastrous.
All right. COVID-19 is actually a reality check on a whole lot of things. Activities of government, activities of individuals, policy statements on governance, on development, on everyone.
And policy actors.
Policy actors. I mean, the key players, stakeholders, because you always hear about stakeholders and all of that. So this is time for us to really reevaluate our activities. This is the time. The COVID-19 is a reality check for everybody, every Nigerian, wherever you are, whatever you do. Think Nigerian, think humanity, think life, because that is the most thing. Like you just mentioned, we are at war. Humanity is at war with the virus, and the humans must win. And for us to win, it has to be collective effort. Everybody do what they have to do. Government do what you have to do. Evaluate your policies. Make it more people-oriented, especially at this time when hunger and unemployment is staring all of us in the face. That is the much you have from the COVID-19 Situation Room of Television Nigerian today. Thanks for being a part of it. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Thank you, sir.
Also, thank you, Victor Temba, for coming on board. We will do this again tomorrow. Join us again. Thank you and have a very lovely day.
I pledge to Nigeria, my country. So goes the opening lines of the 6-line National Pledge of Nigeria. Today, not a few, whether young or old, merely recite the National Pledge as a matter of routine or tradition, with their hearts being poles apart from the very spirit, creed, and essence of the pledge. Many simply do not understand its purport or feel the import of it, while many others choose to observe the pledge in breach only. Today we have decided to walk on the footpath of the very words of the National Pledge, keeping its vision and essence in our hearts, in our souls, and in our minds.
I pledge
Nigeria,
my country,
to be faithful,
loyal, and honest,
to serve Nigeria with all my strength,
to defend her unity,
and uphold her honor and glory.
So help me God. Nigeria, no doubt, will truly be the giant of Africa, developed and well rated in all indices, if her national pledge is treated with sacred obedience. It's on us, it's our duty and responsibility to make this country a better place. Let's live the pledge.